Hello, everybody. I'm Russell Hill, the host of WTF, and that is What the Fixed Ops. And I'm also joined today by.
I'm Charity Dunning. I'm the co-host here at What the FixedOPS. And before I introduce you to our guest today, I have to shout out our sponsor, WYNN'S. People who love cars love WYNN'S. Check them out. There is a link in the description below. Ed Roberts, COO of Bozard Ford Lincoln and author of Mile One. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you. It's finally out. It's been long awaited, and not everybody has it in their hands yet. But yes, it's finally out.
No, hell, they're all fighting over this. I'm talking to people on LinkedIn and other social media. Did you get yours? No, I ain't got mine. When am I going to get my book? It's supposed to be. No, I haven't got mine yet, but I know it's coming next week. Oh no, now it's the week after that. No, it's the week before. No, I got mine. On and on.
They're getting out there though. Yeah, the response we've had has been, I won't call it overwhelming because it's a blessing, but it has been greater than I ever anticipated. And then with the volume, it slows down how quick you can get them, and then with the volume, it slows down how quick I can get them out. So it's just, and then it delays it, layered in on top of it. But hopefully, it is worth the wait.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, you were nice enough to give us the manuscript of it, and we got to thumb through it a bit. And so all of our questions today are geared specifically toward the book without giving away too much, right?
No, I got to say something about that real quick, Charity, because
Sure.
I think it was about a month ago, and there were some, setbacks and stuff like that. It's life happening while you're busy making other plans, and it's approaching like Ed Roberts' time, okay? And we wanted to time it with the book, and then it didn't happen. So Ed was gracious enough to rebook for today because the book is rolling out, and he did grace us with or bless us with a manuscript, and it is an amazing book. We're not gonna tell you everything that's in there because there needs to be enough curiosity. So you go get yourselves a copy and read it, and keep it right here by your side.
There you go. And the main purpose for putting that book out there is to let people know that we all run into adversity, and sometimes we let that adversity control who we are and really take ownership of who we are. And you could overcome adversity and be whoever and whatever you want to be, but it takes some intentionality, the right attitude, and a ton of effort. And I wanted to share a little piece of the story along with some strategy things, and so that's what I was able to do, and it's been well received thus far.
It was amazing. And Charity, start us off, will you?
Sure. Well, you mentioned adversity, and this is actually the second time you've been on our show. We've had you on before, and we've gotten little glimpses into your life story. And you start off, telling us basically that you've gotten to where you are today, but you started in a homeless situation. So I wanted to ask you about that. How did you find yourself in that kind of situation?
Well, we cannot pick our families, and we can pick our neighbors sometimes. We can't pick our families.
True.
And I grew up in the ghetto of Jacksonville, Florida, to a family that was not very accustomed to contributing to a society. And the so my family has been drug ridden and crime ridden and living off the government my entire life. And early on, you don't know that there's anything different.
True.
And because that's what you live, and in those environments, everybody around you lives that. People across the street, next door, and whatever. And in those environments, it's just like what you see on television, where the police comes in, they knock the door down as they coming through there because they're coming in to find somebody, and those somebodies was my family members. And I am thankful that I was not the oldest, because I don't know that I would have had something to look at being the oldest, because I would just fit right in. But looking at them and then seeing the people that come in behind them to get them, I'm thinking they're living a different life than we are. And it allowed me to look outside of that. And then once I started looking outside of that, everybody says, you still can't go out and do that. You're not one of them. You can't do that. And I said, well, maybe I can't, but I'm gonna go figure that out on my own. And so I started asking people for a job and finally landed an interview. And that first interview, I was hired, but didn't necessarily get the job because I was told to start on a Monday. And then when I got there that Monday, I kind of got judged by what I looked like, what I smelled like, and what I sounded like. I looked like a hoodlum, sounded like a hoodlum, probably smelled like a hoodlum. And I thought that there's no place for him here. And they sent me down the road. And everybody had already told me, you ain't going to make it out there. You don't need to do that. And I had to make a decision. Do I want to listen to them now that I've been told that out there? Or do I want to keep trying? And I've always lived by the philosophy that I don't hear no, I hear not yet. And so sitting out in front of that place, I said, I don't think I'm ready to accept that yet. And made another turn and found a job at another car dealership and worked my way out of sleeping in vehicles and not having a place to call home.
Isn't that beautiful? The automotive industry is such a great industry in that we've met so many people that, it enables them to come from, you just have to have drive, just drive. And so I'll move on to our next question.
Hold on.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Russell.
I really have to
Yeah.
dig in just a little bit here.
Go for it.
So I think what's really imperative with the way you tell your story and you share your journey to contrast what you just shared with us, because I think that a lot of people don't hear that. They think that somebody like Ed Roberts, who's a COO, is like, oh, well, he grew up in a wealthy family and everything was handed to him. Now, I know a lot of people think that way, but more of us in automotive know that's really not the case. A lot of us have trials and tribulations and moments like we all do. And some of us take a little longer before we get it than others. But it's important to know that somebody that's achieved and is achieving and will continue to achieve, somebody like Ed Roberts, if he can do that, that gives us all hope that we can do that. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now I know the answer to this is in the book. So feel free to give us as much information as you want on it. But Mile One is the name of the book, right? So give us a little taste of where that title came from.
Yeah.
So that title, although I lived those elements from the very early on in my career, starting as an apprentice technician, didn't really have a title for it. Didn't really have a thing. I just said I need to break things down and make them understandable. And Mile One really became an opportunity for me to label something that was impactful to get there. Because, I mean, if we go out and we try to run a marathon, it's tough to see that finish line. It is very tough to see that finish line because you can't see it. It's invisible to you until you get there. And the only thing you can do to get there is to click those miles off one at a time. And so the next thing that you need to do in any type of marathon that you're in is work on that next mile. That's the only thing you have control of. The ones behind you are behind you. You don't have to look back. You have to work on that next one. And that next one is Mile One. And you're never completed with Mile One because there's always a Mile One. And one of the stories in the book is when you started that job that you're in right now, you interviewed for it. And when you interviewed for it, it was probably stated somewhere along the way, what do you expect of me? Or the last guy that was here, the last person that was here didn't do these things. And you think, well, I can do that. That or instantly you're Mile Ones. That's the things that they want you to focus on right in the beginning. And those things always exist. And if we're in tune with whatever we're doing, we can find what that next opportunity is. What that next opportunity is to get better, because we are on a journey. We never arrive at where we want to be, because even if we had a great month or a great week or a great day, there's still an opportunity to grow from that. And so
Absolutely.
we have to be looking for those opportunities.
Absolutely. That makes me think of something that I have these, I got stuff plastered all over my office. You can't see it, but little isms. I call them Russellisms, and none of them are original. I got them from other people, and some new ones that are coming because of you and your book. But I always focused on the price early on in my life, and it was horrible to do that. And I realized today, because it is a journey, right? I realized today, especially in reference to you talking about the marathon, you can't see it, but you know that's the prize, right? You want to complete the 26 miles. And then, of course, it's another journey from there. And so I think that most people that focus on the prize are almost always willing to pay the price. But people that focus on the price almost never achieve the prize because they get bogged down in the quagmire of the labor and what it costs just to get to that mile, Anyway, that's very profound. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And, mile one out of a marathon, if you're going to plot this out on a graph, of, working from sleeping in a car, your graph would be parabolic first several miles. And then eventually it evens out and maybe levels out over time. So it must get easier over time, this drive and conviction that you have that you mentioned in the book.
Well, it becomes a way of life. And I wouldn't say it gets easier because you always take on new challenges. And those challenges just ends up being bigger because you're used to that push. You're used to push and to make things happen. And so it becomes what you do. It has become my identity. But also when you push that down to the ones that work with us and works for us and help them see it. And there's another story in there about that with JJ. When we all know that we have all this to get done, and we think, well, where do I get started? Well, where you get started is just like taking that journey of 1,000 miles is that first step. You got to determine what that first step's going to be, and when you do that, okay, well, I can do that, and then I can do the next one, then I can do the next one. But the key is getting started.
Absolutely. You
Go
ahead,
sorry.
Jared. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was going to move on to another question. So you let me know if
We're trying to cram 2 hours into 50 minutes, right? Go ahead.
I know. Okay. Well, before Nico starts making lots of noise, what kind of things have you found while working on your business that have set you apart and challenged the status quo?
100% connecting with our people, and connecting with our people, that we have tons of opportunity because we feel like as the boss that we need to have all the answers. I don't want to have all the answers because I'm not frontline. I'm not down there in the trenches. And because of that, I want to talk to the ones that are in the trenches, the ones that knows what obstacle they run through to do something. So I want to involve them. And when you can involve the team, then everybody wins. And they know how to overcome the obstacle. Why? Because they're where the information is. We think we have all the answers, but we should never try to have all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
Involve the ones that are doing it.
Do you think that in relation to that, to see if it prompts anything else in your book, because you talk about people, you talk about loving people, empowering people, pouring into people. I learned a long time ago, mostly from Zig Ziglar, that every decision we make, it's not about us, because we're surrounded by people that those decisions affect. I don't care if it's our, social life, our family, church, our workplace, etc. And what you focus on in the book is amazing, but it translates into every single portion of our life and how you act or react and what the consequences of those things are. Could you share anything that comes to mind with you, Ed?
Well, let me share why it's so impactful. I think that's the element of it. Because we can sit here and say that, hopefully you cut this out. Will you let him live on podcast and keep lighting down?
We're good. This is all editable.
It is.
It is.
Yes. They just think spun up the music in here immensely. So now I'll start over on that as soon as she turns the volume down there.
It's all part of the journey, right? Adapt and overcome, right?
Exactly. So let me answer that question differently. When we involve our people, it isn't just saying, hey, tell me what you think. What we're telling them is, hey, I trust you. And I trust you to give me the information that you know will make this better. And what that does in turn is it builds their confidence. Can you believe that he just asked me what I thought about that? Blah, blah, blah. And when you build their confidence, they're not just helping you with that. Now they're going to handle the next situation differently rather than putting it on hold, stopping, calling you, saying, hey, how do you think I should handle this? Ed would rather me just push through it. And if I make a mistake, we'll use it as a learning opportunity, not as a chastising opportunity. And so it builds their confidence more than anything. And confidence is paramount and breaking through status quo because they're willing to try things.
Well said. Extremely well. It's really important to our power. If we're always enabling and codependent, they're not going to learn anything. And I think that what I've gotten from you, just since I've known you these last, pre and post pandemic, is that people don't really care how much you know until they know how much you care. It's cliche, but hey, there's a truth to all cliches. That's why they're cliche, right? But people want to know they count, they matter, they make a difference, and that they're part of something bigger than just themselves. And you have a real knack for doing that, Ed. And is that all part of everything you've gone through? Was it a particular mentor in your life? Was it a series of books? Was it a combination of the above?
As a leader, you're an ongoing learner, and so I want to be a sponge everywhere I go. When I'm at an ADA, when I'm at different conferences, when I'm wherever, I want to be a sponge. I also want to learn from other people as well, and so I would say that I kind of grasped that path to go down probably 2 decades ago, but didn't really have anything to leverage that or say, hey, this is the validation that proves that's the way to go. And then one of the endorsers in the book is Alan Mullally, and him and I chat frequently now. And when he came to work for Ford Motor Company at the time, I didn't know him. He came to work for Ford Motor Company in September of 06, and at the time I didn't know him. But shortly thereafter, he was doing the same things I was. And he was making a profound difference there. And then I did some research on him, and he made that same kind of profound difference after 9/11 with Boeing. And it gave me the validation that I needed to say, hey, this is the right path. And when you get that validation, you just turn it up that much more because you're no longer questioning yourself. It's that confidence that we talked about earlier. I now had the confidence that, hey, if it works for him, it can work for me. And so it was a no-brainer to reach out to him when writing this book and saying, hey, I think I would love for you to endorse this thing, and I think it aligns with you. And it worked out. So it was a very cool experience.
Yeah. A phenomenal endorsement too. Is Natasha still there next to you?
She is.
Natasha?
Yes.
Don't be shy. Is there anything you'd like to add? Is there anything you'd like to add with your mile one journey with Ed, since you guys have been together?
Well, he very much lives what he preaches. So the book is who he is. And so anybody that's worked for him, friends, family, neighbors, it's who he is at work, it's who he is at home, it's what he preaches, it's what he lives. So everything in the book has such value, and it's not just a read that you read and you put down. It's truly a read that guides you through the path you're on today, tomorrow, and in the future. So it's something that you can always pick up, look at, and it adds value for today. So you're going to use it for years to come. So that's what I've gotten out of it. And it's been great for it to come to fruition. It's not been a long time, and because once he sets his mind to something, he does it and he gets it done.
That's Ed
And
Roberts.
then yeah, so now it's get this out and possibly a number 2 in the making. So we'll have to see
Mile
see
2?
how that goes.
No, I don't.
The next mile one, but no, it's
Yeah.
been a wonderful journey, and every day is an adventure, and every day we're blessed to be here. So make the most of it, and it's always something new to look forward to, for sure.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And, Cherry and I,
Yes, thank you.
Cherry and I, yeah, certainly. Cherry and I watching you, because a couple of times, we interacted in person and stuff. And the way you support each other and lift each other up is really amazing. It's an example. And without giving too much away, the whole book is like that. Okay. And it is, just as Natasha said, it's not a one-time read and put it down. It is a book to how to grow, to be not just actually to become a servant leader, where you're giving back and you're helping other people grow, because it's a legacy. This book, I think, is a legacy. What you're an example of a way to go to the next mile, to the next mile, the next mile, and it all starts with the first mile. I got goosebumps. Thank you so much for sharing that, Natasha.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about having people in your corner and having people to support you. And even, there's many, many great times, but in reality, we all have down times. We all have times where we need to be supported, and you need to have somebody there to help you through it. And everybody needs that person. So, and I support him 100% through everything he does, the good days, the bad days. And he's the same for me. And it's kind of what the book does, like you said. Just pick it up and read through it, and you have your mentor right there on the nightstand with you.
That's right.
It's designed to reflect back on. You can reflect back to any chapter at any point and help you through whatever you're working through.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, behind every
absolutely.
good man
Thank
is
you.
a great woman.
Yes.
There
True.
you go.
She's the best supporter I could ever ask for.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to take a moment to say a few words about our new sponsor, WYNN'S. People who love cars love WYNN'S. With over 80 years of experience in innovation, WYNN'S leads the industry with product and system innovations that drive vehicle performance and longevity. WYNN'S leads through our innovation, our technology, and the products we create. We bring a legacy of superior performance that professional service providers trust through our heritage of innovative formulas and unparalleled service. It starts with fuel and oil, and it ends with excellence. Our dedication to research and development has led to more than 18,000 granted and pending patents across our company. And that drive continues today at WYNN'S. New vehicle technology like EV requires leading-edge service and products. WYNN'S ensures our products meet EV requirements and still provide the same high level of protection that we've always offered. We meet tomorrow's needs by using our knowledge and technology today. WYNN'S brings innovative, technically advanced, professional-grade solutions to the world. Our legacy of innovation and performance is always copied, but never outrun. So thank you, WYNN'S, for sponsoring the What the FixedOPS podcast. That's amazing.
You're welcome.
And I can tell you're super excited about it, Ed. You have a smile on your face that just won't quit. Tell us, and this is right up your alley too, Russell. Tell us a little bit about the idea behind making deposits.
Making deposits?
Yes.
Oh man, making deposits is huge. If we only go around and zap people when they do something wrong, then you do not make yourself very approachable. And so when you are coming around, then they're trying to hide from you because they feel like they're going to get zapped. But if you make, and I tell people that one old crap race is 10 attaboys. Well, you got to be able to give those attaboys as well. And so if you're going to give the old craps, you got to give the attaboys. But people repeat what gets praised. And so if you go around and make those deposits, they will want to repeat it over and over and over again.
He's raising the music up.
Yeah, well said.
Second to raise
So
it.
many years ago, 1996, I went through a boot camp called Traver Boot Camp with John Traver. Okay. And three things I specifically remember about that boot camp. I remembered a phrase because I didn't know what a paradigm shift was. And it was rules and regulations that establish our boundaries. The other one was foo-foo, phone up, follow up. And the other one was deposits. The more deposits you make, when it's time to make a withdrawal, it's so easy to get a withdrawal. It's amazing. People will actually bend over backwards because they want to, because of what you did for them. It's amazing.
Exactly. And they want to keep doing it. And then if you're not there to zap them when you do need to make a withdrawal and you're there to help them see how they could have done it differently, then they're more open to you, and you become approachable in the whole process. And when you're approachable, they're going to make less mistakes because they're going to ask you the questions of the stuff that they need to know the information to before they do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they become better informed, and it just continues to compound itself.
What do you think you learned the most from writing a book, Ed?
Yeah.
So there is all kinds of things that I learned writing the book. I certainly changed or added some words to my vocabulary because we have, and I'll give you a couple examples. We have all misread a text or an email that someone sends it and they mean one thing, but we add our own inflection to it and we pick up something else. And we think, well, what are they thinking? And well, the reality of that is there is things that we can say that can be construed. That was good. And that inflection that comes with that, you think, well, I guess they didn't care for that too much. We think that was good. That inflection says that was good. But you don't get to put inflection in writing books. So you have to use inflection type words like fostering and unwavering there's just, so you have to write it in a form to where you're adding that inflection in. And then another thing that I learned writing a book is not everybody knows you and they don't know all the elements of you. So you can have a conversation with your significant other and you leave things out, and we write how we talk typically, and we leave things out because they already know those elements. And so they know exactly what you're talking about and they can run with it. Well, someone that doesn't know us, they don't know those elements. So you have to really lay all that out there.
Wow.
And so I have to go back and read things as if I didn't know anything about it and think, how could that be construed? And then you have to add words and sentences and paragraphs sometimes to paint that picture so where everybody's on the same page, because there's no chance to ask questions at the end of a chapter. You can't call the author up. In most cases, some of you guys can, but in most cases, you can't call the author up and say, hey, what'd you mean by this? It has to be there. So I learned to be a lot more expressive, and I learned to add inflection type words. And so it's not just in writing now. So when I send a text, I'll add inflection words to it to where it minimizes it being construed to being something else now.
Yeah, because you don't know what the frame of mind that person is that send that text, the frame of mind the person is that receives that text. I remember my wife just retired, 2 years ago after 32 years in the car business. And she used to send me texts and I just took it. They were all in caps, right? And one day I was not having a particularly good moment and in came a all caps test. And all I construed, I had to call her and say, why are you yelling at me? Because I thought she was yelling at me. Anyway, it happens, doesn't it? Voice inflection, body language. Absolutely. Well said.
Well, you have a chapter on counseling versus coaching, and we often hear that leadership is a lot like parenting. So I wanted to ask you, in your opinion, how do you apply parental leadership without demeaning your team members or coming off as patronizing? And I also put some keywords in there that you
and that is a great chapter too
in your book. Parental.
Well, yeah, the parental element is key there. And so everything we do in life, we should be able to learn something from it. And as you guys know, and maybe not the audience, but as you guys know, my daughter was in the lacrosse, and being involved in that team, you don't address it as being a drill sergeant when they make a mistake. You address it as, here's an opportunity for us to get better. This is why they beat us like yesterday. Here's an opportunity to get better to prevent it from happening again. And really, that's what we do in parenting. That's what we do in coaching. Why not instill that into our work environment? Because most of the people that work for us, they've either been a child themselves, all of them have been a child, or they have kids of their own, some of them. And so it becomes more understanding and more relatable for them. And when we can relate to them and they can understand us, they get it. But if we're just there to say, hey, you messed up, and I'll give the example about that's in the book about riding a bike. We don't go beat their butts because our kids fell off the bike for the fourth time when they're learning to ride. We still offer that encouragement. So I want to tell my guys, hey, you can do better than this. I believe in you. I know this is where you can be, and I'm here to help you get there. Now we've had the same conversation that says that can't happen again because this is what it cost, but he believes that I can get better, and he's not here to get rid of me. Because when we zap somebody, for a period of time, they shift their mind to what happens if that happens again and they fire me? What am I going to do then? And then they sit back and they do less for fear of making that mistake again.
Listen, I know everything you're saying. I know it's you, and because it's not like this is my first encounter with you, and the circle of people that we know jointly. This is who you are. This is how you operate. This is how you empower and build people up. And I had I was sitting here thinking that all of us grew up, you didn't know what you didn't know until you get to a point where you know that that's not working, or whether it's from a upper middle class to the slums, doesn't make any difference. Anything that somebody wants to achieve, I believe that if there's any place on earth where it can be done, it's certainly right here in America. We're Americans in America, right? So it's the circle of people. Do they stop you all the time when you're walking through the dealership? Now, for those of you who don't know, I did go out to visit Ed one time, and it was amazing, the encounter and the journey that he took me on. It was a journey, and it's like, I don't even know if I had a scheduled time. You knew I was coming, but with another friend of mine, and but the people that you introduced me to and the journey you took me on throughout this is you all would not believe what, and it's, of course, we're here talking about Ed and his book. You wouldn't believe it, and if you have any doubts, maybe sometime you make a track out there and you see for yourself. I gotta share one moment. It's like, are you serious, Russell? So I'm on the second floor of the Lincoln building. Okay. We're walking where the offices are, and you can see down on the showroom, and there's these hanging lights. As I remember, this was towards the end of our journey. And then he ended the journey by giving me a book, which I still have. Thank you very much. But I mean, you look, and there's not even any dust. I mean, this is the meticulous, that the people that take care of that place, and it reverberates throughout. I mean, you could eat breakfast off the floor in the shop. That's how clean it was. And you say, "Oh, you're exaggerating." No, I'm not. Am I exaggerating, Ed?
You're not, and that's part of it. You're paying attention to details and getting people to believe in what they're doing. And when they believe in what they're doing, they add pride. So the pride almost comes automatically. When they add the pride, those elements are easy to do. And then we try to do everything in house. We don't want to outsource anything, so all of our cleaning crews are in house, and so that all of it compounds together. But the thing that you can tie it back to is they have a lot of pride in being there. And with that, they keep the place the way it is.
Was there a defining moment where you said, was it inspired not by Natasha or other people, or a combination? Because I'm going through something like this right now. And I hear a lot of people talking about books, and Charity's helping me with the book as well, because I can't, quite frankly, write it because I'm too ADHD. Was there a defining moment where you said, this is what I'm going to do? This is something I need to do. This is something that you knew that you had to do. Was there a moment like that with this book?
No, I've been pressured by a lot of people to write a book for quite some time, and I never looked at myself as being an author. But one day I was listening to a friend of mine's book, and I said, it was just that moment that pushed me over the edge that says, all right, I'm doing it. And like Natasha said a few minutes ago, once I put my mind to something, it's happening. So I instantly started interviewing some coaches to guide me through it, someone that's been through the process before, and put it together. But that defining moment that pushed me over the edge was listening to a friend of mine's book. I pushed the pause button, picked up the phone, called him, says, "You've inspired me to write a book." And so solo, it was not him. It was just that final little piece that kind of
The last one that pushed you over, right? Awesome.
yes.
Well, let me bring up a question from another area of your book, the problem solution section. Do you suggest in a problem solution situation that it's best if a team member approaches you, or do you approach team member?
Good question.
It really depends on the situation. And if it's something where the customer's involved and the customer has to wait for them to get somebody else involved, make a decision and go. Make a decision what you feel like is right for the customer. But if it's not, and if it's not something that has to be determined, then let's use the brain power of what's around us. And so I want them to be decisive and I want them to keep moving. But every situation is a touch different. And I want them, that needs to be the decision. Can I make this happen on my own? Does it need to wait? And usually that answer is no. Normally they know the right thing to do, because when they ask me, the first question I want to ask is, what do you think you should do?
Oh, I love it. Put it right back on them.
Yeah, so they know what it is already because they got to tell me what it is. And then my response usually is, okay, well, let's get rolling. You know what to do. Or are we done yet? Or something similar. So because I don't want to give them the answer. I want them to pull it out. But sometimes it needs to be done without getting that involvement. And that's a situational piece. It depends on whether the customer's there or not, or if it's holding something up that involves the customer. The rest of it, any of the rest of those elements, you can add time elements to it. But for a customer, their most valuable asset is the time they have, and we don't need to rob any more of it than we have to.
Well said. When I visited with you that day as well, there was a couple of things I noted that was also mentioned in your book. Catching people doing things right. And there was a couple instances you may not even remember. I don't remember who it was, but you saw something. I remember two instances. It was a young man and a young woman. You saw something and you made a comment. And I didn't see the response from one of them, but the other one I did. And it was like, I got goosebumps in that moment. It was just a momentary thing, but I saw that. And why is that important?
Well, a lot of times we all go around and we say good morning to people and or ask how their weekend was in passing. Sometimes we slow down and listen to their response, and sometimes we don't. But when you're intentional about finding things they're doing and knowing who's responsible for it and being able to point those things out to them, let them know that you're paying attention, that's making those deposits that we talked about earlier. And it is profound, because a lot of times they feel like what they do is monotonous and I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. But when you take notice of it, say, hey, thank you for that. It really looks good. Then they think, okay, I'm not doing something that's monotonous. It does have value to it. And then what are they going to want to do the next time they're doing it? They want to do it better in hopes that I notice it again. And that's what you see when you walk around there, Russell. That's why the places it looks the way it does, because of those type elements. So in every element, or in every situation, I'm not just going around saying, good morning, how are you doing? How's your week? I want to make those connections, and I want to have that conversation. And if they are struggling with something, that's the conversation we're going to have, is how can I help you get through this? And so sometimes it's the high fives, and sometimes it's, hey, what can we do together to get you through this?
That's a profound servant leadership skill that many of them that you will all realize in that book that you'll continue to go back to and back to and back to. And you're going to continue to do it over and over and over again until you become proficient at it, because that's instrumental. Wherever you want to go, it's important to help other people get there, but they need to know that they're doing something right.
Absolutely. And telling them once doesn't do it. You don't tell your significant
Over,
other that
yeah.
you only love them once.
Right.
You have to continuously reassure them that you're there for them. And we got to do that for people as well.
Yeah. Could you imagine getting married and saying, I love you, and this is the last time you ever heard it?
Yeah, I told you 6 months ago when we got married.
It doesn't work, Russell. It doesn't work.
It doesn't. It doesn't. No, it doesn't. Well, that was a great. Oh,
Well, you're a pretty positive guy, Ed. Tell us about how positivity plays a big role in your leadership style.
Well, negativity breeds negativity, and positivity breeds positivity. And in every situation, there's something that you can pull from it to turn it into a positive, no matter how bad it is. If we get in a car accident and we're able to walk away from it, the positive is we was able to walk away from it. Not that we wiped up the car, yeah, that's a bad situation. But when we do that, when you walk up to someone and you tell them how bad of a day you're having, they want to empathize with you, be empathetic with you, and tell you how bad something's going for them. Well, we've shifted their mind to be a negative. But when you come to them and you talk about something positive, what are they trying to do? They're trying to dig up something positive too that they can talk to you about. You're shifting them there. So I always want to shift their mind to something positive. And yes, do we live in a fairy tale land? No. We still have to face the reality of certain things. But that's when something happens that isn't so good, there's still something to learn, and that's a positive.
We are passionate about helping consumers find a great, trusted place to get their car fixed. We have 4 million uniques who come to our website each month for car repair information, and we help them find our REPAIRPAL certified locations. We also have amazing partners like USAA that offer our REPAIRPAL certified network to their customers and members. So how are we going to help dealers? Well, dealers sell 100% of the cars, but over time, after the warranty expires, the repairs go up and the revenue potential goes up. But people keep leaving the dealer over time after the warranty. By years 10 or 12, only about 20% of people are still servicing at the dealer. Why is that? There's one dominant reason, and that is price perception. And being REPAIRPAL certified helps you overcome the primary price perception problem. So come let us show you how REPAIRPAL can help you too.
Yeah.
And you got to find what it is that you can learn from it.
That's another part of the book that's like the whole book is this way. It's another part of effective leadership, because if it's so easy for somebody to pull somebody down than it is to actually grab their hand and pull them up. It really is. So there's people that are talking about their life and how, not that it's a great reference point, but some point in time, and people in my life, as busy as I am and you and all of us are, the self-pity thing can only go so long. And then I try to encourage them like, okay, let's move to a solution and let's get beyond that. If they choose not to go there, unfortunately, that's a moment where I have to love them where they're at and move on down the road, because for me, it's poison. And I think for anybody, they would probably think that. Don't you agree, Ed?
Absolutely. And everybody needs that helping hand. And we got to be there to identify it, because they're not always going to ask for it. And reach it out there when they don't expect you to.
Yeah, I could only imagine people that are reading the book or that know you, the impact that we have on other people's lives. We can't even fathom. I don't believe we can even fathom. I many times where I'm walking up to a store or a restaurant, and there's another couple that is walking about the same speed and they're about the same distance as I am. And we're looking at each other's like, okay, we need to hurry up and get there. And I'll purposely step ahead 1 or 2 steps only to get there. And I see a look on their face, but I open the door and let them in. And so moments like that are when you compliment somebody or you say something positive to people. They could be in a completely different frame of mind. And in that moment, their whole day changes because of something you said or did. And the impact we all have on people's lives is just like that. And that's what your book continues to reference over and over and over. So if you're interested, at which you obviously would be, in leadership and skills and a toolbox of how to go to the next level, this is the book to do that.
Absolutely. And those little drops that you're talking about is exactly what the dedication is about in the book. The gentleman I dedicated the book to is a guy that gave me that first opportunity. And to him, he's just given somebody a job back in that time. He did not know the impact he was making on my life, but it ultimately changed who I am. It developed it gave me the path to go to become who I am. And that those we all say we can't do those things. Yes, we can. One of the most flattering things to a female when they go and buy something that they need to be above 21 on or whatever is to card them. That's flattering to them. And so little things like that. But another thing is when you open that door, like you just said, Russell, when you open that door for them, they thought you was trying to beat them to the door, and then you open it for them, and then just add a couple of words to that. How you doing today, young man? And the whether he's a 20-year-old or whether he's a 90-year-old, those words mean something to him because now you just did something for him, and you added a few words that intensified what you did for him.
Yeah, with a smile.
Yeah, with a smile. Exactly. And we all go through cashier lines and we think, man, I can't wait to get through this one. And then we go through cashier lines that think, man, they're pleasant. That's cool. I'll come back. That's what those elements are. And you gotta identify them, capitalize on them, and run with them when you can.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I got to reference the book again here, and Charity, I know we're not even going to get through a third of the questions. I want to emphasize again about mile one. This isn't just about leadership at work and how to achieve whatever it is that you're going after. It affects your children. It affects your family. It affects your spouse. It affects your friends. It affects your social and church life, any endeavor of your life. These are applicable skills that you can take with you everywhere. It is gosh, Russell, it is say it. You're going to say it. It's
I will save you there. There's just about everything in the book. It says professional and personal life, because it affects us in both. And then there's a statement that I throw in the book there, and I really stole it from somebody. And I forget who said it.
Wait a minute, you stole it too?
Reality. I did. It says the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, and that's exactly it. And so you can't be one person in one life and be somebody else in another. And if you're the same person both personally and professionally, people will recognize that. And then the rest of it just becomes elements of what you do.
Where did you learn all these skills, Ed? Where did you learn all these servant leadership skills to share with everybody? Or were they learned from a mentor or a leader, or did you kind of learn them yourself along the way?
All of the above. And we all need to be constant learners. Learn from everybody you can, but also learn what makes an impact. You'll notice when you make an impact on someone. And sometimes you don't know it initially. Sometimes you hear it years down the road. But when you make those impacts and you learn what caused you to make those impacts or what led to that impact being made, you can repeat it. And when you can repeat it, then you're multiplying your impact that you have on people's lives. And so did I set out to be a servant leader? No. Didn't know what it was. Wouldn't have known what it was. But I set out to make myself better every single day. And now I want to help make others better as I go along the road of making myself better every day.
So it's like if you want to keep your teeth 30 years from now, you can't see how brushing your teeth for 2 minutes a day is going to make any difference at all. But it does. But it also reminds me of some of the stuff that you're talking about from a guy named Miguel Ruiz called the 4 Agreements. You've heard of it. Be impeccable with your word. Always do your best. Don't make assumptions. And thank you. Those are just powerful things to live by, but it's every single day. It's not wait until tomorrow. Ed, you're a do it right now today thing.
Absolutely. I'm gonna do this.
Go ahead.
I think I need to step out because I think I'm holding this conference up and moving forward. So let me step out in the hallway and you can cut this piece out real quick.
Okay.
You good with that?
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna take the computer with me here.
All right. What a great interview this. Yeah.
I should be good.
Now, if it was me and I was Ed, I'd be freaking out, going, "Oh my gosh, what am I going
I
to
would
do?"
too.
You know?
I was
Yeah,
thinking the same thing. I'd be
Oh,
like,
you adapt, you adapt and overcome.
adapt and overcome. Right? Hey, life happens while you're busy making other plans, right?
Yep. So my background is going to change because this hallway's a different color, but I think I got the perfect spot right here. We can keep right on going.
So, where are you at, Ed? Oh,
I am in San Antonio, Texas, just
are you?
south of you. I think I'm here. You're in Dallas, right? Is
Yes,
San Antonio south of Dallas?
yes,
right in your neighborhood.
yep.
Yes.
Well, I have two more questions for you, and
Okay.
one is book related, and the other is personal. And so this one it is a little bit of a giveaway, but if you had to choose between the two, motivation and inspiration, which one would you choose and why?
Well, motivation expires. Inspiration is ongoing. And what I mean by that is the it's 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 like taking a shower. You have to do it over and over and over again because one's not enough. And that's exactly what motivation is. Every week in a meeting or every Friday or whatever it is, you have to motivate your team to go out and do it. But when you inspire them to see the vision and then you update them on where we're at with the vision, that's what they're always pushing for. And so the self-motivating factor of that is give them what you're chasing. And when you give them what they're chasing, let them know what we're chasing and the elements of how we're coming towards that. They inspire and motivate themselves to get there. So shift the focus from the immediate results to what the overall result should be. And when you do that, they're inspired. You don't have to constantly remind them to go take a shower, go sell a car, go do whatever. They push towards it. They come in, they want to be a part of it. They won't let you know what they did to make themselves better. So inspiration always over motivation.
I love it. Well, the inspiration motivates people to get educated and to continue to be inspired, to continue to be motivated and educated. And it's like it just keeps going, but you have to do it every single day. I think it's imperative. You know, I've talked about this before. Right now, I'm very careful about what I listen to, what I read, and who I associate with, because it has a direct impact on tomorrow, right? So what you're doing is you're a pattern interrupt. You're interrupting people by showing them something different, and it causes them to think differently, because we know the greatest predictor of future behavior is previous behavior. Unless that's interrupted today, which is what the book covers over and over again. I keep going back to the book. It's a funny thing. I keep going back to that book, but it's there, right? All that stuff is there. I love it. Great question, Charity.
Yes.
Well, it was great. It was a good book. And
Yeah, great.
you know, what are your goals, Ed, with, you know, for yourself in writing a book and becoming an author, and for your readers? What sort of outcome are you looking for?
I tell people all the time, don't try to predict what's going to happen, because when you do that, you let yourself down when it doesn't get there. I was in hopes of doing this, and then it's rejection, and I don't like rejection. That's not positive. And I'm a positive guy, as you said earlier. So when I made the decision to write a book was because I hit an element in my friend's book that says, you know, that's helpful. If I can help one person, then it's worth it. And that's what I set out to do, was to help one person. And if it compounds itself to help others, then it'll be overwhelmingly successful. And you know what? It appears that it already has. And that warms my heart beyond belief. So did I set out to sell 100 copies or 1,000 copies? I did not. And it didn't matter if the only copies that went out was the copies that I gave away. What matters is, did it make a difference in someone's life in a positive and productive way? And if it did, I won. And I believe I've done that. But the acceptance and support of the book has been phenomenal, and I'm blessed for that. But I didn't chase it.
I love it. I don't know if you're familiar with an author who wrote many books, but most known for Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And he wrote
I'll check
a
him out,
book,
though.
but he wrote a book. It's about real estate and other things. But he wrote a book many years ago, and couldn't get it published. And there was a networking organization that came across a book that was based upon my memory in a restaurant or something like that. And he was so impressed with the book that he called the author to find out, and he didn't have any more. It never got published. He published his own handful of copies. And now he's you'll see him on commercials on Lear Gold and Silver and all kinds of stuff. His name's Robert Kiyosaki, phenomenal guy back in the early real estate days. But it's amazing. You just never know the impact. But that's I have expectations of how things should be, or et cetera, in my life. And what I've learned over the years is it's not so much, at least for me anyway, the expectations, because there's things that I want to get done, but it's how I act and react to them when I don't achieve those objectives that has been really powerful for me, where I don't blame somebody else. I adjust, I pivot, I look at it. If there's something to learn, move on down the road, right?
Absolutely. That's the ticket. And I probably didn't say that clear enough. It's what I mean by that is have a vision of what you want to happen.
Yes.
And then that vision can become clear. And then if it doesn't, then there's revisions that you can do to make it happen. So, but it's been heartwarming for sure.
So do you, so you're going to be on the book signing circuit, Barnes and Nobles, and you're going to be leadership conferences, maybe a movie. Why not? Why not?
A series. A series.
I'm serious. Yeah.
No,
seriously.
a series. Because
a series. Yeah.
A second book.
So the second book, all of them will be called Mile One, and they'll just have a different tagline. But the next book will be very much my story of my beginnings and how it developed it to where I'm at today. And we all have those stories. Russell, I know you have a story of overcoming adversity, and we all have those. And people relate with people. And we can put those things out there, and someone else can relate to it and say, okay, well, he did it. That gives them the confidence that they can do it. And so that's what the next book's going to be for me. Is it'll be Mile One. I don't know what the tagline's going to be called yet, because I've changed this tagline 3 times. But it will be the key elements of where I started to where I am today. And you know what? It's duplicatable. It takes attitude and effort.
Yeah. Well, you inspired me when you first started talking about this. I knew this was coming out. Cherry and I had started on bits of the book that she's helping me with. And there's some part now I'm much more open and vulnerable today to talk about some of the things that happened to me, because I think it's important not just to talk about success and what you do, but what happened in my life is critical to where I'm at right now. And if other people hear that, like the things that you shared, that's so powerful, because then they believe they can too. And it's what your whole book's about, empowering people, right? And knowing, hey, I'm not you can have anything you want, can't you, Ed?
Absolutely. And you may not be able to have it now.
Well, true.
And it's like going back to the front part of that, where I don't hear no, I hear not yet. So you may not be able to have it yet.
Yeah.
But you can still have it.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't expect to read the book and overnight become a servant leader and get it and understand it. No, we all have to go through we have to go through a journey, right? We have to learn how to incorporate and adapt and catch ourselves and listen to people. And anyway, it is so powerful. And I mean, I don't even think we got through a third of the questions, but that's okay. I think everybody's got a great idea that, hey, I'm going to go get mine today. That's what I encourage all of you to do anyway. I don't even have to wait for Ed to say it. I'm telling you, because we read it. Get a copy. Get 2 copies. Get 3 copies. Hand them out to people.
It's good. It's a good book. It's worth sitting down and reading. And Ed, I love memoirs. So I'll definitely be on your book list for your next one. So we appreciate you being on and telling us all about it.
Yeah. Maybe
I greatly appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We're humbled and honored to have you. I think that, and I know, look, you're at a conference and you took the time to show up and do this, and it probably wasn't the most convenient thing to do, but we are humbled and honored. And thank you so much